Welcome to the Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu podcast, where Mike, Joey, and myself discuss all things grappling. All right, welcome to the Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu podcast with co-hosts Oogie, Mike, and Joey Boretski. We got a great episode for you guys. So guys, make sure you check out xmartial.com. Use code Jordan10. You can get 10% off, rash guards and shorts, all sorts of cool stuff. You can get our limitless rash guard and my T-Rex arms rash guard. It's freaking awesome. I designed it myself. And well, I got someone on Fiverr to design it. But I told them what I wanted. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And let's just start off, like we always do, talking about our week. We'll get Joey to go first, Mike second, and I'll go last.
My week was pretty uneventful. I trained a little bit. I took some rest nights off because I've been feeling a little worn out lately. But other than that, nothing interesting at all.
Yeah, I can tell you've been a little worn out lately. And me too. I did some hill sprints on Monday and I was just completely dead after for days. And I feel like I'm still feeling it from them because, man, sprints are so hard on your central nervous system, and just training in general, just I think we've been pushing a little too hard now, and we got to just take a couple days off to rest. What about you, Mike?
I trained every day this week, but I'm just coming back on my TRT. I took about 6 weeks off and I felt like a bag of balls. So I decided to go back on after some blood work. Everything's good. And yeah, that's my week. So I'm just starting to get back to normal now.
Why did you decide to take some weeks off?
Doctor just wanted to see some blood work without anything in my system, stuff like that. And everything's A-okay.
What's the difference between when you were off the TRT to now? How do you feel?
Oh my God. When I was off TRT, I felt like a different human being. Joey saw me at the gym. I just dragged my ass there and I couldn't barely do anything, but that's also because my levels were crashing at the same time. Right. But now I can feel it start to come back. I feel more like a human, more like a man again.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah. Exactly. So that's the thing with TRT, taking testosterone. If you take it and then you stop, when you take it, your body stops producing testosterone. So when you stop taking it, it's also not making much or any testosterone. So
yeah,
you're kind of in that position where, testosterone levels probably of a girl, I would think.
My levels were 7.
Yeah, that's really low.
That's low. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the reference range? Do you know?
8 to 28.
Oh, wow. So you're below the reference range.
Yeah.
So, my week was it was a little eventful in the sense that I was supposed to go to Alaska, and then me and Nikki were looking at the tickets before, the night before. We were trying to figure out, is it at the Pearson airport? Because usually it is, most departures from Toronto from the Pearson, and but we just wanted to make sure. And then we were looking at the thing. It just said Ontario, CA. So we're like, where in Ontario? Is it Billy Bishop Airport or is it Pearson? And we're trying to figure it out. And then eventually we realized, it's Ontario, California. So the guy booked tickets to depart from Ontario, California instead of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So I can see that, I can see how you can make that mistake. Because I don't know what California is thinking, making a city called Ontario, right? Because it's so similar to, right? If they're abbreviation is CA, and so is Canada, and they have Ontario CA. That sounds like it's Canada. So, yeah, that sucked because I was really looking forward to going to Alaska, and the guy spent money to to fly us out, and then we spent money for Audrey, our daughter, to have a ticket to come too. So we were out $900. And they were out $500. I feel worse about it I'd feel worse for them if we didn't also waste money, and also feel worse for myself if they didn't also waste money. So it's almost misery loves company, and we kind of both screwed up, and we kind of both at a loss right now. So
are you going to go back up there eventually?
Yeah, probably in the future. But, right now I'm looking at other countries to go to. I really want to go to the UK really bad. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah. And just a lot of places I want to go. And it's not that it's tainted or anything, but it's I was just really excited for Alaska, and that was going to be our weekend or 5 days going to Alaska. And now I just feel I'll probably just go somewhere else instead. Yeah. So that sucked big time. But at least we figured it out before we left for the airport, because we had to leave our house at 5 a.m. to get to the airport for 7. So that would have really sucked. We get there and we're trying to figure out, where to go and whatnot. And it's you got to go to California to depart. Yeah.
Buy an emergency flight to California to fly to Alaska.
Yeah. We were thinking about it, ways to get around it and everything. But then, we should have kind of figured it out beforehand, because I was thinking like, why is the flight so short? It's like shockingly short. It's 2 hours to Seattle and 2 hours to Alaska. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, it's not too far to Alaska, but in reality, it's like a lot further. It's 2 hours from California to Seattle, and then 2 hours from Seattle to Alaska. So I think it'd end up being like 14-hour flight. And then it was like, we could, try to get to, California, but it would just take so long, and it would have been a big pain in the butt.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed this week during classes, Joey's been working with Andrew specifically. For anybody who's listening, he's a 3-stripe white belt. And in the last 2 weeks, I've seen this guy's game jump from, good to wow, like incredible. Yeah. It's just the stuff. This guy's doing an IBJJF tournament when?
September 17th.
His first tournament ever. So he's really preparing for it really hard. I really wish him the best of luck on that.
That's super exciting. It's like, man, it's always the small guys at our gym that end up getting really good, which kind of sucks for me just because I'm a bigger guy. So like, especially all our higher belts keep getting smaller. Like Joey too, he keeps getting smaller, but I'm getting bigger. So it's like, damn it, guys. Like, I wish for the same size, it'd be so much more convenient for me, So yeah, I wish Andrew was like 200 pounds or something, and had his skill set. He'd be like a really good training partner for me. Yeah. Not that he's not, but it's just like he's like a really small dude. He must be like 120 pounds maybe.
He's competing at 127.
Yeah, he's a rooster weight. So yeah, it's like, I got a huge size advantage, but yeah, I do like rolling with them. It's a lot of fun for sure. And other than that, let's see. Well, by the time people listen to this podcast, I'll have reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's really exciting. I should hit it on Sunday. We film these podcasts on Friday, and I'm only like 700 away, and that'll take like 2 or 3 days to get to. So
how excited are you for that?
I'm excited, but I thought I'd be more excited. I just think, I don't know. I've got like a weird mentality where it's like, my last video I was really proud of. And because I was so proud of that one, I feel like all my other ones I'm like not proud of anymore. So I'm like a really bad perfectionist. I want to like, I want to like delete all my videos and just start fresh at 100,000 subscribers. But, Nikki tells me that's irrational and not to do that.
That's a little irrational.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I just think I just do a better job of content creation and everything. And people, they like saw me, learning. Like I got popular so fast after like 3 months of the YouTube channel. It just like took off like crazy and just kept growing. And I felt like I got popular before I even like got good at making videos. And, people, they like my videos and they're informative, but I have such a high standard for myself and the things I do. So like, now that I've reached a standard for myself, which I'm really happy with, it's like everything else feels like, trash. It's like I had the mentality, if it's not perfect, it's trash. So yeah, it's a really toxic for myself mentality, which I need to work on that.
But it must be nice to like look back at one of your earlier videos and then look at the ones now and see how much better you've gotten.
Yeah, in one sense, but in the other, like I watched a couple, I was like, man, I was so monotone, like unreal. And not just that, but like, just the way I presented the information and like some of the, just everything. The pacing was bad. It was just like a roller coaster, just like, just throwing like information at people. But I feel like now I pace it better. It's like more room to breathe. And like, I'm just like, I just do way better now. So I can't even watch those without feeling like cringe.
Yeah, but even if some of the best guys that have ever been on YouTube, you hear their interviews and they're like, my first videos had got like 17 views 10 years ago. It took them 5 years to get 100,000 views, or you know what I mean? Like, or subscribers, and they look back at theirs and they cringe. But I mean,
that's exactly it.
You're going to get better progressively, right?
Yeah. It's like, I heard a quote. It's like, if you're not embarrassed by your last year's work, then you're not progressing enough. And that's exactly how I feel. Like I feel embarrassed by like my earlier videos, which is such a strange thing. People probably, what's wrong with you? But yeah, like I said, I have a really bad perfectionist mentality, which is really toxic. And I don't recommend anyone having that mentality too. But, it's also what's like driven me to do things and get good at things. But it's like a really bad character flaw for sure. So it's the way she goes. But, I'm going to keep making videos and they're all going to be really good because, my plan is like, this was like phase 1 that I did, which was like, this is the way I describe it, phase 1 and 2. And there's going to be phase 3 too. So phase 1 was like learning how to make YouTube videos and get, kind of like honing my craft. And then it kind of ended with that last video. And then phase 2 is starting. So phase 2 is like, what that encompasses is just more videos, better videos, and a focus on, not as much focus on sponsors, but more of a focus on selling my own products to make money off of. Like, I want to make more money off the YouTube channel now. So, and, because I feel like I have that opportunity to do it, and I don't have enough products out. So I have like my performance longevity course coming out. I'm doing a jiu-jitsu theory course and my BJJ fanatics and whatnot. And I'm just gonna really work on selling those. And it's not like, oh, buy my stuff, whatever. But it's like, I'm gonna have value in these things. So I want people, if they see the value, they'll buy it, and then we kind of both win, right? So it's not like a bad mentality, like, oh, I just want to sell. It's like more like, they're going to get value. I'm going to get value. It's going to be a great partnership. So, yeah.
I find your newest video I think it's the best one you've done.
Yeah, by far. And you know what was great about that last video too, is that it didn't take me long to make. And some of these videos have taken an unreal amount of time. So I've just, really streamlined how I do things too. And part of phase 2 is also working less, because now I'm more efficient, and I have Ben, my editor, to do things for me too. And it's just like, I'm going to make more videos and higher quality and be working less and enjoying my life more and making more money. This is like phase 2 is like going to be great. So, and then phase 3 is like when I transition out of jiu-jitsu, not out of jiu-jitsu, but more like transitioning to, a broader scale. I want to go past the jiu-jitsu niche and like become more popular with like non-jiu-jitsu people. And yeah, I still got to figure out how to do that, but I'm going to make that happen. Phase 3 is going to be awesome too.
I'm sure you'll find a way. You always do.
I'm always thinking it's like, a bad character flaw too. It's like, I'm always thinking how to progress, and just like, it's like really consumes my mind. So we'll take a viewer question from Tristan.
Hey guys, love the podcast. Here is the hypothetical question for you. If you had a jiu-jitsu practitioner that played no guard at all, but was great at getting out of bad positions, good at wrestling up, and good at scrambling, could they succeed? Could they get their black belt? Could they do well in competition? Or is guard play necessary?
Yeah, I think guard play, having a good guard game is definitely a necessity to be a black belt. And kind of what he described is very similar to a lot of wrestlers. Like, they're really good at scrambles and, in top position and whatnot. And then maybe their guard isn't as good. A lot of MMA fighters like that too. And I think to be a black belt, you need to have a complete game, and top game, bottom game, everything. And other than, I don't think you need to have a great takedown game to be a black belt, but I think it definitely helps. What do you think, Joey?
I think like you said, like, I don't think you could be a black belt without the ability to at least play like guard at a competent level. For his other question about like competition success, I definitely think you could. Like, if you had good takedowns, good top game, and you scrambled well, you can kind of just avoid the guard if necessary. And like, a lot of people forget, when you're playing guard, you can always just make space and stand up. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't mean you have to stay here and play guard. You can create scrambles and wrestle up. So you could have competition success, but I think a black belt would be hard to get.
Yeah, I think especially in no-gi, you'll have a lot of success still having that type of game. I think gi would be way harder. And against people that are, smart in the sense of they understand, how to stop people from coming up, because I see it all the time. People don't stop people from coming up. They don't control their legs enough. They don't stop their feet from coming off the mat, from going on the mat, and they need their feet to stand up on the mat. So it's it's one of those things that it's such a common mistake I see people make. And I think if against the right people that understand how to control someone that way, it might be hard to have a success with that game. All right, so we'll take this one from Brady.
Hey guys, so I saw this post on Instagram about the unwritten rules of BJJ, and one of them really stuck out to me, and I think a lot of people in the comment section as well. It said, if a higher belt asks you to roll, then you roll with them. And I wanted to ask you guys, one, coming from a higher belt, would you feel disrespected or jaded if someone of a lower rank or status in the gym denied you when you asked them to roll? And maybe coming from Mike's perspective, do you feel pressured to roll with someone of a higher belt if they ask you to roll? Thanks, guys. Really appreciate everything.
Yeah, so Mike, you can take this one.
Yeah, and if I already have somebody chosen for a roll, or somebody says, hey, you want to roll? And I'm like, yep. And then Joey goes, Mike, you want to roll? I'll look at Joey and look at the other guy, and Joey go, oh, go roll with him. We'll do it another time. Some people, I can tell, when a black belt wants me to roll, they're like, hey, Mike, let's roll now. I'll say to the other guy, hey, let's get it next round. It's just person to person. it's whatever their personality is. Most people, I found, don't really care. Like it doesn't hurt their feelings. Nobody's going to get upset about it.
Yeah, that's my mentality too. It's like, if I ask someone to roll, I want them to, and I'd like them to, but if they say, no, I already have a partner, it's no big deal. I'm not going to be mad or hold it against them. But, I definitely would like them to, go with me and just tell them to go next round with them. But not where it's like a rule, like, I'm so mad at you. It's just like, yeah, it would be nice if you did, because I'm asking for a reason.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. If I'm going to roll with X person and you say, hey, Mike, let's roll, I'll be like, hey, buddy, yeah, we'll go next time. And then me and you will roll. And Joey's done the same thing. And, everybody's cool. I think we just have a really chill club.
Exactly. And like, I don't like the whole like entitlement mentality some people do have, but I think it also, sometimes it's, sometimes it makes sense to like, choose your roles more and not roll specific people just because you don't get as much out of it. As a black belt, it's like, some days I want to go really hard and pick people that are like going to be the most challenge. And some days I just want to go light and pick people that aren't as much of a challenge. So if I want the hard day and someone like lighter asks me to roll, I feel like maybe I'll nicely tell them that I want to go harder with someone or something like that. I try to figure something out because I've got intentions with my rolls some night, but sometimes let's go whoever for sure.
Yeah. That's really good advice for anybody. Like when you're picking your training partners, have an intention of what you want out of the night and pick partners for that. Yeah. And like for the question, I'm going to get a little passionate about this. I think that's the most nonsensical rule I've ever heard, that if a higher belt asks you to roll, you can't say no. Like that's the part of jiu-jitsu when you pick partners is like consenting to like, I want to do this role with you. I'm a paying member. Like I pay to be here. I should get bodily autonomy of who I train with. Like maybe you're, a brown belt who's hurt 40 white belts and the coach keeps letting you train. Like, I don't want to roll with you. Like, I want to say no to that. Exactly. I don't want any part of that. That making someone roll with someone they don't want to roll with just because someone's got a higher belt is ridiculous. Like, I hate that. I hate that mentality. If you want to roll with the higher belt, you should. Yeah, that's great. That'll probably make you better. And if the higher belt wants to roll with you, he's probably got a purpose for that round. You're probably going to get something out of it if you do it, but you shouldn't have to.
Exactly. I really hate that like holier than thou mentality that a lot of higher belts, not a lot, but some higher belts have. And it's just super lame. Like it's almost like they treat themselves and expect others to treat them that way too, where like they're like above other people and you have to listen to them. They're your boss or whatever. But this is like not the case. Like we're all just training, having a good time, It's like, I don't like that type of atmosphere at all.
The only time I'd say maybe it's different is if you're in like a competition class or something, and like you kind of know what you're signing up for when you join a competition class. Like everyone's trying to compete. You don't really get to pick and choose there because you don't get to pick and choose in a competition. But other than that, like if you're a black belt who thinks you should be entitled to roll with people who don't want to roll with you, like you should probably check yourself. Like a black belt doesn't give you some sort of right over another person. It's just a black belt.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the last podcast you mentioned, like a black belt like yelling at someone because they didn't, tie their belt right or whatever. And some comments on YouTube that the same thing happened to them. They like threw their gi top off after training, and they got yelled at by a black belt. They put your gi top back on, all this stuff. And it's like, man, people gotta relax, Yeah. And just the whole thing, like sometimes people are like really passionate about, oh, you have to wear a rash guard underneath your gi. It's like, oh, you got like chest hair is gross, this and that. Or like I saw a post on Instagram saying that you must wear a rash guard underneath your gi if you're a guy or a girl. You can't wear a sports bra if you're a girl. You can't wear only a sports bra. And it's like, well, I think people should do what they want. And other people shouldn't dictate what other people wear within reason. It's like you can't wear like a G-string or thong to train. Oh well, maybe underneath your gi or and stuff, that's fine. But like you can't train in just that, right? But to tell someone they have to cover up more because they feel kind of insecure or they don't like it, it's kind of ridiculous. I hate wearing rash guard underneath my gi. It's so freaking hot. And so I can imagine with like girls too. Like Nikki doesn't wear rash guard underneath her gi. She wears a sports bra. And, is that a problem it's not a problem with me at all. And I don't, that it shouldn't be. And Nikki, that's what she wants to do. Who cares? And if anyone kind of views it like sexually, well, that's kind of a reflection of them and what they're thinking. And it's like, why would Nikki want to be hot? Really have to roll in a really hot manner just to please other people is crazy. So yeah, I didn't like the Instagram post I saw. I was like, screw off, let people do what they want.
That's interesting. I had never trained without a rash guard under my gi until like 2 months ago. And then I competed, didn't have the rash guard. And I was like, I'm going to just like train when I'm getting ready for competition without the rash guard to feel more comfortable with it. And now I absolutely can't stand wearing a rash guard under my gi. It's horrible.
It's awful.
For people who don't know, Canada gets a reputation as being like really cold all the time. It's not. It's really cold for half the year and then disgustingly hot and humid for half the year. And in the summers here, it is awful. If you're wearing like a thick gi and a rash guard, it's terrible.
Yeah, well, not half the year. It's like 2 months of the year it gets freaking hot.
Yeah, we get like 2 months of the year of like actual nice weather, and then a little bit of like really hot and humid, and then a lot of cold.
Exactly. People would be so shocked in how hot the summers in Canada get, especially Southern Ontario. It gets unreal for sure. And yeah, you know, like I don't have any chest hair anyways, so I feel like what's the big deal? I have no rash guard underneath my gi. It's like the positions we go in are like so strange. So like if you're that worried about, you know, going skin to skin with my chest only, it's like, you know, I think maybe it's the wrong sport because much weirder stuff's gonna happen.
And what's like the stigma with chest hair? Like, is it okay if someone has a beard? Can they have hair on their head? Is that fine? Like, what about arm hair, leg hair? Like, where do we draw the line here?
That's the thing too. I think it's kind of like rude to people with chest hair. You know, some people just naturally have a lot, and it's like to tell them they're gross because they have a lot of chest hair. It's like that's not very nice. You know, so yeah, you know, I don't really agree with that. But at the same time, you know, I have rolled with people with a ton of chest hair, and yeah, when your face goes in it, it's like. It kind of feels kind of funny for sure. But yeah, you know, it like you said, exactly. You can't like said like, you know, someone can't have a beard now because you're uncomfortable with it. I mean, it is hard to choke people when they have a freaking long beard and try to get underneath their neck. You know,
I should have kept it.
Yeah, exactly. It's really funny. Mike got so many comments on YouTube about shaving his beard, and I agree with them. I like the beard better.
Maybe I'll grow it back just for you guys. Yeah.
I shaved my beard a couple months ago, and yeah, I didn't like it. At first, I was like, okay, this looks kind of cool. But then looking back at videos where I had it shaved, I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, every time I shave mine, I regret it. Halfway through shaving it, I'm regretting it already. But I do it every time, grow it back. It gets too much of a pain in the ass at some point.
Exactly. That's the thing. It grows back, so it's all good. So we'll take this one from Anthony.
Hi, it's Anthony from Kingston. This question's for Jordan and Joey. Sorry, Mike. Anyways, I'm entering the stage in my jiu-jitsu career, or I have entered the stage in my jiu-jitsu career where I'm expected to do more teaching and helping other students. Well, maybe not expected, but well, I don't know. Should I be expected to do it? Should I not be expected? What's your thoughts on that? But my question is, what types of things have you done to help improve your instruction? Did it just sort of develop naturally, or did you make an effort to become a better instructor? And do you think people learn better in a sort of technique and drilling based environment, or like a an environment where you're talking about concepts more and showing how the concepts apply, or a combination? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't do anything specific. It was just like I became a good instructor just kind of over time, because it's kind of what I talked about earlier. It's like I'm so much of a perfectionist. So like, you know, I always want to improve and make things perfect and be like the best teacher possible, and, you know, try to find the ways to explain things to people that, you know, they really grasp it the most. Because remember, you know, a lot of how I've become a good instructor is from like teaching kids class, because they have a hard time, you know, learning things unless you break it down very simply for them. So it's like, you know, every single class I've done, I'm thinking like, well, how could I teach this better? You know, like how can I get this into their brain better? And because if you teach something and then you go back and no one's doing it properly, it's like you didn't teach it good. So, you know, you got to think of the things that people are going to screw up, and you know, and then address those. That's like that really helps. It's like if you see someone mess up something over and over, or people mess things up over and over and over, you like mention that. It's like, this is a very common mistake people make when they do the technique. It's like, don't do this, you know, you do it like this. So I think that, yeah, just like over time we've gotten good. And I was going to say, when it comes to conceptual over, you know, technique, I think if you only teach conceptual, it's kind of useless in the sense that, like, you know, you need techniques. You need to do specific techniques. But if you only do techniques and you don't talk about any concepts, then that's not very helpful either. But I don't consider like the stuff I teach like concepts. I don't like the word concepts for jiu-jitsu, just because to me it has like a negative connotation in my mind, just because so many people talk about concepts and then talk about things that are so confusing. It's like I've heard people say these concepts and they're like all these like physics based, that's like confuses the shit out of me. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, this confuses me. And so if it's more complicated to talk about it that way, it's like not really a concept. You're just like overcomplicating for no reason. So yeah, I don't like that word concept. I think of it's jiu-jitsu theory, because I think one thing, that's a cool word, and not to go off topic, but it's very similar to music theory. It's like, you know, why you do things, why these things sound good together, and that kind of think of it that way. And same thing with jiu-jitsu. So like, I think the best approach is to, you know, when you're teaching techniques, also talk about the jiu-jitsu theory behind it, you know, like why these things will happen, why you have to do this, why you grab here, and you have a combination of both as you're teaching. And I think that's the best approach. What do you think, Joey?
Yeah, I think you hit an interesting thing where like 5-6 years ago, no one was talking about like conceptual learning. And now it's like everyone talks about it, but I don't think a lot of people really understand what they mean when they talk about conceptual learning. It's not just like throwing terms out and pretending that that's going to make you better at jiu-jitsu. Like, I show you a technique, and that's like, you know, like let's say I show you an underhook to come up to dogfight. I just use this as an example because we've been doing a lot of dogfight. Like, you know, that the technique is the move I show you. The concept is literally just getting the underhook allows me to get out into that open space. That's the concept. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing flashy about it. What I want to do is show you the technique and give you the concept that explains why it works, and hope that you can understand that that will apply to other situations as well. But I see, like you said, like a lot of people teaching like conceptual jiu-jitsu, and it's like, you're just throwing words at me that really don't make any sense, and they're not going to make my jiu-jitsu better, because you can tell me all these things, but like, how is that helping me to tell me things like, you know, if an elbow is at 45 degrees, there's open, like, where does this help me? How do I apply this to jiu-jitsu? Like, conceptual like education should be in conjunction with technique. Explain the technique, explain why it works. I should understand it and then be able to take that elsewhere.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it. That's exactly my point and what I'm thinking too. Because man, sometimes people teach like concepts, but they're like talking for like 45 minutes and I'm so lost in what they're talking about. And if you can't explain a simple concept in like 15 seconds, then it's not really a concept. You're just kind of just, you know, babbling and talking, you know, just because you like the sound of your own voice. And nothing bothers me in jiu-jitsu. Well, like, I guess there are other things, but it bothers me a lot in jiu-jitsu, and people do that. They just talk forever, and, you know, they don't get to the freaking point, you know. To me, that's not like a good teacher or a good communication style. It's if you have to talk forever, and, you know, if you can get your point across quickly, you're a good teacher. So I think that's where, you know, I do a good job there on the YouTube channel. And yeah, I hear people say things like, you know, very physics based. There's words I don't want to use because some people use them, and I don't want to like, target them, but there's just like very physics based, and, you know, I don't know physics, like, so that doesn't help me. I'm not going to be thinking while I'm rolling, yeah, this is like, you know, the perfect, I don't want to say the word, but yeah, because it's very specific. But yeah, I think it's just so confusing that way. And like you said, you got to tell people why an underhook, like what does an underhook do? You know, it does two things. It allows you to get onto your side because there's nothing obstructing you to do that, because you have the inside position. And it also connects you to people, so you can do things like butterfly sweeps and whatnot, or whatever it is. So, but it also, if you're on top, it also pins people's backs on the mat. So there's like, this is jiu-jitsu theory. This is like, and if people, you know, I like to think of it too, if someone like says something that contradicts what I think in terms of jiu-jitsu theory, and, you know, I agree with them, well, now I have to, you know, it's like scientific theory. Now they're right? So it's always like building upon what's right, changing things that, you know, aren't so true, and building up to the ultimate truth. So yeah, I think that's the best. That's what people should be talking about, is jiu-jitsu theory. And that's what I'm trying to change. I'm trying to get that word thrown in for real jiu-jitsu concepts. And then the bullshit ones, just, they can just die.
I like that. Like, I come from a science background, and there's a lot of times I hear people talk about stuff in jiu-jitsu, especially like the one word that drives me insane is leverage. When I hear people talking about like, hey, you have more leverage here, I'm like, I don't think you understand what the word leverage means, because where you are, you don't actually have leverage. Like, leverage is just like there's an equation to determine leverage, and like, I don't need to teach you the equation to do it, but like, you as a black belt, having done jiu-jitsu, you probably actually have a really good understanding of leverage. Like, if you went into a high school physics class that was teaching leverage, you'd probably be like, oh, kind of really know what's going on just because you've done a lot of these things and you've felt positions and you know when you're strong, like, you know, how levers work when an arm is in versus out, what one's stronger. You don't need to do the math to understand it. You just need to understand by doing it, kind of.
Exactly. You know what I think a real black belt is someone that just understands how the human body actually works. So, and, you know, as you progress from white belt to black belt, you just understand more and more how the human body works. And, you know, people, they overthink it so much. They're like, what techniques do you need to know to get to the next belt, this and that? And, you know, what do I need to do to get the next belt? It's like, to me, you just need to understand better and better and better how the body works. And that's all you really need. Because, you know, I feel like that's what I understand very well is how people's bodies work in relation to each other, which has like helped me so much, you know, teaching jiu-jitsu theory and figuring out the theory. And also it's helped me do things like Muay Thai. Like I've learned that very quickly because I understand how the body works. I feel like I could do any sort of like, you know, sport that's like kind of one-on-one, like, you know, like similar that way, because again, I just understand how the body works. So yeah, that's what I think.
I really agree with that. Like you also see a lot too, like when people get injured, like a lot of guys who've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time, black belts, coaches, like they'll get you like, move it around. Let me see, like, where does it hurt? How does it hurt? Obviously we're not doctors, but it's just, we really understand how the body's supposed to move. And when something doesn't move right, it's like, well, there's your problem. Like something's wrong here. And we kind of understand like how certain techniques affect certain things. Like, you know, if you're doing a Kimura, like I kind of have an understanding of what muscles and ligaments. There's like a bug just flew my Wow. Oh, God, I'll try that.
It's like Doug
again.
Ford when he swallowed that bee.
He swallowed the bee. I like the, sorry, off topic. Do you see when he swallowed the bee, the cameraman zoomed in on his stomach?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Ben, you got to include that clip of Doug Ford swallowing that bee.
It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ.
What was that?
I just swallowed a bee.
Oh my
Christ, I knew that little bugger.
You okay?
I'm good. He's down here buzzing around right now.
But yeah, we have like a good understanding of like how things are supposed to move and what muscle groups are involved and consequently like how they could get hurt if something goes wrong.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think that, you know, I'm making this jiu-jitsu longevity course and, you know, I teach mat safety in it and all these ways people commonly get injured. And it's like, I know how people get injured from experience and understanding how the body works. So, you know, whenever someone does get injured, I feel like I do have a very, you know, good understanding of what's wrong with them, how bad it is. And, you know, yeah, like I kind of always know if it's the MCL, LCL, and I'm obviously not a doctor, but, you know, and I don't want to talk shit about doctors. I feel like I always sound like I'm talking shit, but a lot of times they don't know, like a lot of things, like they know a lot, but some things they don't know very specifically well. So many times I've heard from people, they go to their doctor and they go tell them I got ringworm, and they're like, that's not ringworm. You can't get ringworm from, you know, other people. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like someone said, maybe they're lying, but they said their doctor said you can only get it from farm animals. That's it. So they said there's no way that can be ringworm, and it just must be a bug bite. I'm like, no, bro, that's ringworm. So like, you know, he could be lying, but like just my experience, you know, a lot of times doctors have very general knowledge and very smart at that, but again, with very specific type of things, then they might be lacking. Where it's like, you know, again, and black belts don't know more than doctors. I'm not saying that, but like we have a lot of experience. We've seen so many injuries. So, you know, when it comes to those specific things, I feel like we have a pretty good understanding of, you know, how someone got hurt, why they're getting hurt and whatnot like that. Yeah. But yeah, again, I'm not talking shit about doctors, saying we know more about doctors. That's very important. Okay. Doctors know way more than me.
It also depends what kind of doctor you get too. Like someone who's, you know, like a cardiologist might not have like an in-depth understanding of like how an ankle is supposed to function. Whereas someone who like works with ankles all day, like a kinesiologist or something, they could probably tell you how an ankle works better than like a heart surgeon. So like I know people go to emergency rooms in Canada. I don't know how it works in other countries. And like, you know, doctor will say like, well, that's a bug bite. Well, like he might not be like a dermatologist. That guy might be, you know, the heart doctor who's just doing his rounds that day. And it's easy, like not everyone can be an expert in everything. I think the same thing applies to jiu-jitsu. No one is an expert in every single position. Like no doctor is an expert in every single area of the field.
Yeah, and I think it's way harder as a doctor because the human body, like what's inside it, is so complex, and you know, doctors are constantly learning and science is advancing. It's like I wouldn't want to be a doctor, have to like memorize all this stuff. I think it'd be very difficult. So
I don't know. What I took from that conversation was that you know way more than doctors do.
Yeah, I'm sure some people think that because man, It's like, I thought it was really clear in the last podcast.
Red belts, right?
Yeah, I wasn't talking shit about red belts. It's like, okay, I looked at the minimum age you have to be a red belt. It's 68. So to say I can beat a red belt pretty handedly, is that talking shit? Man,
70 years old.
It's facts. I'm not talking shit. It's facts. So like, man, I feel like so easily my words can get twisted. I'm trying to be so careful what I say. And then people still misinterpret.
I read that too. I knew that was going to come up.
All right, I'll give you a fun question that might get you in trouble. Do you think a really athletic, like 19, 20-year-old blue belt could beat like a 70-year-old red belt in the role?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah, I think so for sure.
100%. Yeah. And and we know this because, we're black belts and, but a lot of like lower belts, they don't completely understand like reality when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And it's like, they think that jiu-jitsu is like magic. Sometimes I feel like it's such a common thing. They think jiu-jitsu is magic. It's like, if you're a red belt, you know everything, you can beat up anyone, but it's like, no, you probably do know a lot, but there is physical, limitations and, just about being older.
I can top that question. Do you think a very high level purple belt of today could beat Hickson or Helio Gracie in their prime?
Yeah, people don't get mad at me. People probably, if it's a really good purple belt, like like someone that could win worlds, they probably beat Hickson.
I'm talking guys that go to ADCC and win at purple belt, brown belt, people like that.
Exactly. I think just because jiu-jitsu's just evolved so much, but this is my opinion. This is what I think, just like off the top of my head. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not like passionate about this opinion. It's just like, I think probably just because, again, jiu-jitsu's advanced so much. Like, how much of a leg lock game was there back then? Were they doing the Kimura trap at all back then? Do they have like, just there's so many positions that I felt like, gain popularity and come into existence over the last like 10 years, especially, but even before that. So like, to compare jiu-jitsu black belts from like 30, 40 years ago, I just feel like, yeah, they might have a more limited skill set, but really good at what they do for sure, 100%. But yeah, guys, don't get mad at me. Don't no one talk shit. Okay,
someone's gonna get mad about that, but I agree. Like, I think if you took any like person who's a purple belt who's competitive at worlds, maybe not even like a champion, someone who could maybe medal or get close to medaling, I think if you put them 10, 15 years ago in the world championships at black belt, I don't think it's even close. I think they run away with it, and people are talking about the person as like a prodigy.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, man, like there's some really good purple belts, like Cole Abate. Is that how to pronounce it? He's a purple belt still, right?
Yeah.
Man, that dude's so freaking good. And like he's gonna be a champion black belt. And I'm pretty confident he could do just fine right now against black belts in his same weight division. And so especially ones from like 15 years ago, he would do incredibly well. And I don't think he'd lose. So
yeah. People also got to remember that like 10, 15 years ago, when you're talking about guys like Hickson when they were in their prime, jiu-jitsu had barely exited Brazil. Like, it had only been around in America for a little bit. So, Hickson's beating up Americans. Well, they've only been exposed to jiu-jitsu for like a couple of years. If jiu-jitsu had been in America for 15, 20 years, you're going to get American athletes, you're going to get Canadian athletes, European athletes who have that same background, their 10 years of experience where they're now really good. I think the records of a lot of those guys would be a lot different, and the record books of who's won world championships would be a lot different. Yeah. Like, I really think 10, 15 years from now, you're not going to see the worlds being won every division by a Brazilian, because other countries have good athletes too, and people are going to get better. You're going to find the Cole Abates of the world, these kids who, like 10 years ago, Cole Abate probably never gets exposed to jiu-jitsu at a young age, but now he does. He's going to grow up to be a phenomenon in the sport, and you're going to get more and more of those kids as jiu-jitsu expands.
Yeah, I think especially with the internet, it's like there's so much high-quality content out there. It's like it's available to anyone from anywhere. So, it wasn't the case, a long time ago. And it'll be interesting seeing, where jiu-jitsu goes the next 10 years, because it's grown so much. Like, even like so many cities have just an amazing amount of jiu-jitsu gyms. I think it's going to keep growing. And that wasn't the case before. Before, it's like, even a major city, 15 years ago might have like just a handful of gyms, but now it's just on every corner.
Yeah, and I know, like, I think you mentioned it before, like, when we were coming up, there wasn't, like, YouTube and stuff to find it. We actually had to read books that had pictures of the techniques at different steps, and there's no way to tell what happened between one picture to the next, and you just kind of had to make that up in your mind and be like, okay, it looks like he did this from here to here, but you have no idea.
Exactly. Yeah. I used to read Jiu-Jitsu University every single morning. And, you know, it's a great resource, 100%. And I do recommend it to everyone, but it's like, I don't think video can really top that. You know, like video is just an insane resource. And back then, like there was Jiu-Jitsu YouTube videos, but they were trash. Like they were bad. So back then, especially YouTube had a bad connotation to it for like learning Jiu-Jitsu. It's like you had like submissions 101 or like I think that was a channel. And they're also, oh yeah, there's this other channel. It's like it's like a how-to channel, and there's like they just showed the worst jiu-jitsu on it. It was pitiful, but I think even now it's like some people think of YouTube has a bad connotation to it. I think the minority now, but like it was the majority before. It's like, you know, you're learning on YouTube. It's like, what's wrong with you? You know, you're gonna only listen to your instructor. No one else has a good idea. So I'm glad that's changed.
I remember even a few years ago when I started, when I would tell people I saw this new move on YouTube, I want to try it. A couple guys at the gym would be like, what? Like looking at me like, nah, that's stupid. But now, you know,
yeah, exactly.
It really helps.
Especially in the last year. I'm like, last year and a half especially. And I'm not saying it's you know, my doing, but when I first started the channel, the production value and the effort that went into people's videos was not even close to what it is now. And I think I've really helped, you know, up the level of the game. And it's just like, it's unreal now. It's like so many great channels out there, and it's going to keep getting better and better. I see, like, especially like last couple of months, I keep seeing like channel after channel and great videos, like awesome videos that just, you know, they didn't do like that before. So, you know, I think one of the first people to like really put a lot of effort into their jiu-jitsu videos was Jedi. Jedi does jiu-jitsu. And yeah, no one can top his level of editing and effort. Like, man, I must take him freaking forever. Like, I think mine take forever, but he puts all these like crazy animations in it, or like himself like dancing in jean shorts and stuff, you know, which I think is so funny. I really love Jedi. Is awesome. And so yeah, Jedi, like, not only is he funny and a great YouTuber, but like he's a super legit, like nice dude. Like I'm talking to him on Instagram and everything. And I talked to him on the phone too for a while. We talked for like 45 minutes, and yeah, man, that guy's awesome. So I really like when people turn out to be great and not to be, you know, jerks or anything like that. Yeah.
We're going to get a roll with you and him?
Yeah, that's the plan. He wants to come to Canada. Like I'm telling him, like, bro, Canada, like you're not gonna have a lot of fun. Like I'll come to Las Vegas. He's in Las Vegas, so hopefully I can get out there soon. But if he does want to come here, I definitely welcome that. But you know, I always worry people being disappointed because just the part in Canada we're at. It's like, you know, I love my town and I love the area, but realistically, it's a small town, not a lot to do, and yeah, just not a lot to do.
You got to do like a double collab, like where you'll go to his gym and then he comes to yours.
Yeah.
And you get like the double content.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. We just got to figure out how to make, like, you know, make sure we make money from it, like to justify the cost, which we can do. It's just like, we got to be really strategic. Like we got to make a video that gets like 500,000 views. Yeah, I think that would do it. So especially if we do like a challenge video, or we just get one sponsored video that also does well in the views, then yeah, that would pay for it. So yeah, like the challenge type videos like Brandon McGraffin did, like he did it like, yeah, it's like so whoever submits them gets put into a draw, or they get to take out like an envelope and see if they won $1,000 or whatever. And so he rolled like 30 of his students, and one after another. And yeah, I really like that. I gotta figure out how to do it original and, like, you know, not just copy him, but I want to do stuff like that. I think that's really fun. So we'll take a question from let me just find it here, from Caroline.
Hey Jordan, I'm a big fan of yours. Thanks for the work you do. I love your podcast. I'm a jiu-jitsu blue belt and I'm just looking for some advice. I recently found out I'm pregnant and I'm very thrilled about it, but also obviously need to make some major adjustments to my jiu-jitsu training, and wondering if you can give any advice on how to progress throughout the journey and continue to move forward while I have my time off the mats. Thanks.
Yeah, so I feel like I have a lot of experience with this, just because, you know, Nikki had to take time off when we had the twins, and you know, because they were twins, and twins are really like, you have a higher chance of losing them as opposed to just one kid. And we had a lot of pregnancy complications. That whole pregnancy was like one of the worst times of my life, and Nikki's extremely stressful. She had a lot of complications, and yeah, it's a long story, but yeah, like we were just like super careful. So she didn't even do technique or didn't roll at all either. And and I think that was the route to go for us. But like, you know, like Jen, she's done some rolls at the gym. She's pregnant, and, you know, only going with people that, you know, I've rolled with her that she trusts and that are smart to, you know, not hurt them and, you know, put like pressure on the belly and stuff like that. So I think it can be possible to get some light rolls in and you still do technique and not have to take time completely off. And but I think the thing is too, I think a lot of people will have like almost like a stigma, like opinion about it, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, it's dangerous. Because I know I've seen so many times like people doing CrossFit that are pregnant and they're doing their thing and they don't hurt the baby or anything, and, you know, people just talk shit about them, like, you shouldn't be doing that, it's dangerous. But, you know, they've been fine. I never heard of someone like losing the baby due to like not extreme sports, but like high intensity sports like that. And I think there's a myth, there's so many myths before. You can't even raise your arms above your head, or like, you know, it's going to wrap the umbilical cord around their neck and kill them. So I think people are so opinionated on that, you might get some like pushback. But yeah, in my opinion, you can still do technique and still roll with like specific training partners that are going to be really careful with you and still train for a decent amount of time. But then, yeah, if I were doing that, I wouldn't want to be at a gym that has a lot of people, and then someone might accidentally kick you like from like another partner. I'd want like a lot of space around us, and like, the person to be very careful, because I know I can roll someone that's pregnant, no problem. I can, and I'm sure you guys can too, but not everyone can. You know, a lot of people will be dangerous.
Yeah, you definitely got to pick your training partners carefully. Like really carefully, and don't be offended if someone doesn't feel comfortable doing it. Like, I know, like, if someone, depending on how pregnant you are, like, I know nothing about pregnancy, so I might say some very stupid things here, but like in the beginning, I feel like it's a little bit safer than like, as like, obviously you start to show more, like it's just more of an inconvenience, more in the way. Like, I don't know how comfortable I would be rolling with someone who was like, say like 5-6 months pregnant, because like, if something happened, I wouldn't want to feel responsible for that. So like, I would just say like, I don't feel comfortable with it. But yeah, don't like, just pick your partners very carefully, give yourself space, be careful, do what you can. Obviously, I always thought exercise was supposed to be like good when you were pregnant. Yeah, I have no idea. Because
your blood pressure goes up and whatnot when you're pregnant. So, you know, staying active, keep your blood pressure down and whatnot is like pretty important. But, you know, is there other sports like, or not sports, but other activities you could do that might be safer? Like, probably. So yeah, it's just like one of those things. It's like, you know, you don't want to like regret it. And like, if something does happen, or maybe something happens unrelated, and then, you know, you kind of blame, you don't know why it happened, and then you kind of blame that, and then you don't know if it's that, and then you have that in your mind, like, shit, did I do that myself? So yeah, definitely a lot of risks. And you know, I want to paraphrase too, like this isn't my medical opinion, anything like that, for anyone listening. This is just like my own experience of people that have been pregnant. And yeah, I think they can do techniques still. I think that's fine. But same thing, it's like, you still want to make sure there's a lot of room to do it, because maybe you're doing something that has like back steps or something, and someone is like, people are beside you and they just kick you in the stomach, right, by accident. That would be pretty awful, right? So yeah, it's just, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But, you know, in the meantime, if you're not going to, you know, do anything, if you're not going to come to the gym, you know, you can still, you know, learn on YouTube, watch instructionals, maybe like practice on your husband or your boyfriend or the baby's daddy, whatever it is, right? So yeah, I think you can still stay involved in it. And that's my perspective.
Yeah, you can even go to your gym and watch technique, watch a class. If you want to try a move, you can. I'm sure most coaches will let you try it. Like, you can do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you can be there still at the very worst case and watch people roll, watch the technique, because, you know, you gain a lot out of that. It's like Gordon Ryan, when he hurt his LCL, he, you know, he still came to the gym and he said he improved so much, just like watching and learning. And yeah, I think it's a great way to, keep going.
Yeah, same with guys at our gym. Brad, he had a kidney problem. He was off for a month. He just came every class and watched anyways. He said he learned a lot just by watching too.
Exactly, man. Brad is dedicated. Brad is like unreal dedicated. He helps with the kids class too and everything, and he's like always there and dependable, and it's just like, Brad's like a great training partner and great good guy, great student. So yeah, I'm sure Brad's listening, so thank you, Brad, for being awesome. So we'll take this one from Kareem.
Good afternoon, Jordan. This is Kareem. I hope all is well. My question of the week is, how do you break grips from closed guard, especially when someone has a very, very strong grip when it's in deep, and also from the spider guard position as well? You can answer that. That'd be great. And thanks in advance. All right. Bye.
Yeah. So when it comes to breaking grips, it's like, 99% of the time you need to use two hands on one. It's really important because, they're one hand against yours. It's probably going to be pretty even, if not you on the losing spectrum, because, they've got a tight grip on you. So always 2 on 1 is really important. And, closed guard specifically, depending on the grip, you might need to circle your head around because might have it like behind you. You need to circle your head. And, it can be really hard to break it from closed guard. So if you can't break it, maybe do something like a Sao Paulo pass or something that involves you being close to them. And then you don't have to break the grips, right? Because you don't always have to break grips. Sometimes you do, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm terrible at breaking grips. Like, admittedly, I'm like, of all the black belts in the world, I might actually be the worst at breaking grips. I just can't. I know in theory how to do it. I just can't do it. I'm terrible at it. So when people grip me, I just kind of have to like accept that this is something they have, and then pick my techniques around the grips. Like you said, like, I don't usually use Sao Paulo pass, but if someone gets like a deep grip on my collar, like, well, I guess I have to now because I'm stuck here. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, people, I think they overemphasize how much you need to break grips. They just hear it like as like a concept. It's like, you got to break grips, which I've stressed too. You got to break grips, but you don't always have to. It's only if it's stopping you from doing what you want to do. And if you can't, change to something else, right? So yeah, if you're facing too much resistance, you got to go path least resistance. If you're getting too much resistance breaking the grip, well, there might be a different path where you don't have to break it.
A funny little anecdote. I watched the last tournament I went to. I was watching some white belt matches just to see, because we have some white belts who want to compete, and I like to have an understanding of like what they're going to see. And the guy on bottom had a good grip on the person on top's collar and guard, and the guy on top wanted to break the grip, and his coach yelled like, lean back and 2 hands on one. So the guy leaned back and put 2 hands on the one hand to break the grip, but he leaned back so far the other guy just did a sit up and ended up in mount. And it was like, by trying to break that grip, you put so much effort in that you just gave up a free sweep. Well, the grip doesn't matter now. Like, yes, he did break the grip, but you gave up mount, which I think I'd much rather be in someone's guard with them gripping my collar. So it's like, breaking the grip is really good if you can do it easily.
Yeah.
But if you have to actually like stop and alter your game to break the grip, well, sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it is worth just saying like, this is here and I'm going to deal with it.
So when it comes to spider guard, it's like, I can't really give like on the podcast too much of great advice because it would be too hard to visualize. So I'll make a video soon on how to pass spider guard, and because there's 3 main passes I do, and again, I don't think I'll do a great job, communicating it visually by talking about it. So this one is from Cameron. We have 2 more.
Hey guys, my name's Cameron. I'm a blue belt from Australia. My question is, the other night at training, I noticed one of our white belts rip on a straight ankle lock on one of our brand new members. I went over to him and explained to him how this is dangerous and how he could potentially hurt the new member. Should I talk to the coach about this problem, or do I just leave it at that? Thank you.
Yeah, so first off, I also want to go over what we talked about last podcast where I said that, white belts, it's okay for them to learn leg locks and heel hooks. I think that experienced white belts can do that. I don't think like a brand new white belt should learn heel hooks. But there's people that come like right into they come to the gym like first day and they're like they're very well behaved. They don't go hard in submissions. They kind of have that really good understanding. So like someone like that might be able to, but for most people, you probably should be training like, in my opinion, like, well, it just depends. Everyone's so different, It's like you just have to be ready. You have to be ready to, not go hard in submissions or hurt people. So, yeah, I think some white belts can learn leg locks and some shouldn't. But if they shouldn't be learning leg locks, maybe they shouldn't be rolling at all because they're not responsible. But when it comes to your specific question, so I think the best thing to do is to tell them specifically. I found that's the most effective way of getting through to people is if their training partners tell them things, because then they feel awkward because these are like their peers and it's like, oh shit, I don't want to be like not accepted by my peers, where it might be different if they hear from the coach. Like I think sometimes people like their coach tells them something and they just say, oh yeah, okay, yeah. But if it's like they hear it specifically from their peers, it's like, oh shit, these people are going to have an opinion of me that I'm some jerk. So yeah, I would do both. I would specifically tell him, the dangers of it, not to do it. And then I would also tell your coach so he's aware of it and he can address it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think just talking to him yourself and like explaining, like you got to be careful with foot locks, especially on new people. They don't know to tap. Like that's probably the best like course of action. If it keeps happening, I would tell the coach. But after one time, I don't know if it's necessarily worth like making it a bigger deal than it is and like getting someone else involved.
Yeah. for sure. It's like, in Muay Thai, when we spar, I tell everyone, no one wants brain damage. Let's go light. Okay. And then even if I say that, people will still go hard and listen to me. Well, this is what they used to do, but now I tell them this, and I say, if someone goes hard on you, hits you hard, tell them, because it's more effective than me telling them. And I found that's been really gotten through to people. It's like, oh yeah, I can tell someone, that they hit me too hard, and they're not going to do it because, it's awkward. You hit someone hard, they're like, oh man, that's hard. Can you not go so hard? They're like, shit, my bad. You know what I mean? It's just different. So I think it's really important, to like tell people yourself. And I think people shouldn't be cranking any submissions, but especially leg locks, because it can be so catastrophic. Yeah,
communication is key. And if you're honest with somebody and you don't approach them in a negative or angry manner, and you talk to them and ask them, hey man, that was kind of quick, that was kind of hard, can you ease up on that a little bit? Give me a little time to tap. Most guys are cool with it. There's not usually any shit happen afterwards.
Man, that's like I always stress to people, communication and the way you say things matters so much, and you can really get what you want out of people, not like manipulate them, but like kind of in a sense, not in a bad way, but like you can manipulate the situation almost and the outcome, where it's like, okay, I want this person to chill and stop going hard on people. Well, I'm not going to just like, approach them like, hey, you're going too hard in that submission, and just like cause all these problems. They're going to be like, screw you, I'm not going hard in that, I'm fine. Or it's like, you come from a place of understanding. It's like, people can really get hurt, and, make sure it's like catch and release when we do leg locks, everyone has to work the next day, and just be really nice about them. They're going to be able to emphasize and understand so much better. So yeah, very important the way you approach things. So this is our last question. This one's from Wayne.
Hey, what's happening, Jordan? I'm Wayne, a white belt, one stripe white belt from India, who's been training for a few months, and I wanted to know, what's the story about your tattoos? I see that you have quite a few all over your body. I really like the one on your right leg. It looks really cool when you're rolling. So I want to know if any of them are like jiu-jitsu tattoos, or if any of them mean something personally to you. What's the story behind them? Just curious.
Yeah, so thank you. And my leg one, that's the only tattoo I like, basically. And I'll go over the other ones in a minute. But yeah, the leg one, it's the Monkey King. So like the idea of it is like I'm the Monkey King, and then like beside it is like there's 3 monkeys. One's a girl with a bow tie and a gi, and it's my daughter Audrey. And there's 2 other monkeys. One's armbarring the other monkey, and those are my kids, Theo and Rory. So, and then I've been meaning to get Nikki on the back for so long, but it's just very painful getting tattooed on the back of your leg. So I'm just like not super, not super motivated to go get that done, but I'll do it soon, and it'll, cause I got to finish it, and it'll be Nikki in monkey form. And, growing up, I always like loved monkeys. I was like, I don't know, obsessed with them. Just had all these like monkey, what is it called? Like teddy bears and whatnot. And just really love monkeys. And, for my whole life, people have said like my feet are like hands. Like even in soccer, they'd say that. And then, in grappling, they say the same thing. My feet are like hands. Like I got 4 hands. So, and they always say it's very monkey like. So yeah, so it would be really cool, just to get that. And I just thought, I love this tattoo. I think it's so sick. I think it's like the Jesse Coors who did it. He just nailed it for sure. And Jesse actually taught you how to no, you taught him how to tattoo.
No, we're peers.
Oh, peers. I thought you were, one was an apprentice of the other.
No.
Okay, I'm wrong. Yeah. So yeah, you've known Jesse a long time. Yeah. And when it comes to my sleeve on my right arm, I absolutely hate it. And I've been getting laser sessions on it because I want to put a new sleeve on it, because back when I got it, I didn't have a lot of money to, get good art. And it was like my first tattoos. I was like, I just want to get anything. So yeah, I really hate it. And I've had like 4 laser sessions. And it just takes a long time to get off. But like this is the problem. It's like I shouldn't get tattoos or anything because I'm super indecisive. I change my mind all the time. And the problem is I'm always willing to do what it takes to change something that I'm not happy with. So no matter how hard it is or how much of a pain in the ass it is, I'll do it because I need that perfection, right? So yeah, I'm getting that lasered off, and then I got to get it tattooed over. So a really expensive and really painful mistake of getting tattoos I don't like anymore. So yeah, and actually Mike has a good tattoo. He has a cool tattoo. He has a tattoo of his ex-wife. And then what did you put over top of it?
I tattooed a void stamp across her face.
Yeah.
2 days after we separated. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It made it into a magazine. I tattooed it on my own leg, and I'll post it on Instagram for anybody that wants to see it.
It's a lot cheaper than getting it, laser removed and getting it cover up.
Yeah, laser hurts like hell, man. I'm also a certified laser tech, and it hurts 10 times worse than getting tattooed.
Man, laser is the most painful thing. Yeah. Because Justin Bruckman, who's a black belt, I think he's a 3rd or 4th degree black belt, one of my good friends. Yeah, he does laser tattoos now, and he gives me good deals. So we've been working on getting it off. But holy shit, does that ever hurt? It's so hard to book them with him because I know how painful it's gonna be. I'm like, I really, it's so painful. And it's funny, me and Mike, we bought like a laser tattoo remover thing on Amazon. We're trying to do it ourselves. And so like, I have a little bit lasered off completely. It's just like scar tissue now. I think we went too hard on it, but yeah, that's the thing though. I'm willing to do what it takes to right my wrongs. So yeah, I got to go through all that pain, but it's the way she goes. And the one on my left arm, the archer, I got to get it like touched up, but I like that one too. It's just its arm I don't like, but yeah, I could also get it blacked out, but I think it'd be cooler just to get a new tattoo over it for sure. Yeah. But I like blackout tattoos. I think they're pretty cool. So it's the last question. This one's from Brandon.
Hey guys, my name is Brandon from Edmonton, Alberta. I'm a blue belt and been training for about 3 years. Love the podcast so far, by the way. Hope there's many more episodes to come. My question is, how do you go about dealing with a really wide, strong, or low, solid base, especially from guys who are like experienced in wrestling or just bigger guys in general? Like I'm 165 pounds, about 5'9", and guys my size or even like 10, 20 pounds lighter than me who have a really strong base, I have a lot of trouble like getting a sweep or kind of like keeping up my guard against them, especially when I'm playing guard. And especially with the bigger guys who have like 50 plus pounds on me and they have a really wide, solid base, I just always have trouble dealing with that. So any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's a tough one just because it's just hard to, do things with people that are bigger than you. It's just the reality of it. And what I would try to do specifically is like, I would try not to use too many sweeps that involve lifting people with good base because it's, they can base out pretty good that way. I would try to do more things like, take underhooks and get around them, get behind them, or get underneath them for like X guard or whatever it is. And because if you do things like butterfly sweeps and whatnot, it's just very, very hard. So like a good example is like Alex at the gym. He's very hard to sweep, like incredibly hard. He like the brown belt beast. He has like the best base I've ever seen. And yeah, I can't do lifting up sweeps on him anymore. So what I mostly do is I try to do like dogfight, and I find that's pretty effective. But just in general, like I'm a black belt and pretty good, and it's freaking hard sweeping him. It's hard to get on top when he's on top.
Yeah, some people just have that too. Like, and even if you are able to get underneath them and lift them, they have like a weird, like you have a weird freakish ability to just like find balance, like mid sweep. Like I'm like, oh, I've swept him, and then it's just like a leg comes out of nowhere and posts, and you're like, oh, well,
exactly,
I didn't, I guess. So like with those kinds of people, like you said, like instead of trying to like move them over, go around them, because it's like it's important to remember that when someone is basing, you are static. Like basing is me putting something on the mat to have good balance. Well, if I'm doing that, I'm static. I'm not moving. And like you said, I really like underhooks and like going around. Things like arm drags even are good for people who have really good base. Just instead of trying to fight you through your good base, just trying to move around the obstacle.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you have to think of a path of least resistance. If you can't move them, like the only other thing you can do is move yourself. So that's like when you're smaller than someone that's bigger, then that's usually the best way to do it. And there's different styles of sweeps, and I would just gravitate towards the ones that, again, you move instead of them moving.
I think sweeping is something that's like really personal. Like everyone seems to have like styles of sweeps and sweeps that they like and they gravitate to, and it seems to be something that's really like individual per person. Like you love like butterfly sweeps, and you're really like your butterfly sweeping game is like elite level. And then other people like Darren doesn't really butterfly sweep much, but he has other sweeps that he does that are like fantastic for him. Yeah,
like his collar and sleeve guard is so freaking annoying. It's like he puts in collar and sleeve guard, it just feels like he can't move at all. It's like, fuck, he's got to break the grips and, just work towards, stopping it. It's just, it's hard, but I feel like I don't have that level of collar and sleeve he does. I can't like get that extension he does where you just feel like you can't move at all. So it's really interesting how people can have such different games. Do you think their limb length and whatnot really plays into that?
100%. It's got to be like body type thing. Cause like collar sleeve's a perfect example. I was trying to show someone collar sleeve the other day and they're like, I'm showing them like, I have a couple things I do from your book. Like I'm not good at collar sleeve. I have short little arms. I find like even spider guard, like I have a really hard time breaking the posture the way I need to. And I'm sure it's like a function of like my limb length. Like I don't have long limbs. So it's hard for me to use things that like extend people and like break their posture. Whereas I'd much rather play like X guards where I'm like just getting underneath people with my little dwarf limbs and sweeping them that way. But I just like told the person, I was like, go ask Darren. Darren has an amazing collar sleeve. Just go ask him. And they're like, well, you're a black belt. I'm like, yeah, but that's not my game. Like, I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
It's not, I know how to do it, but I'm not as good as someone who does it all the time.
Yeah. It's like the kind of what we talked about with like doctors. It's like, you know, all us black belts are good, like generally at everything, but then we also specialize in things. And there's certain areas where we just don't know a whole lot or don't know as much as someone that can help them more almost. So yeah, it's very similar. And yeah, I just want to say one more time, I'm not saying I know more than doctors, anything like that. That's very important to me that people don't misconstrue my words.
He's saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want to talk openly and like without having fear the consequence of someone writing on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, I care less now. But like, yeah, you guys are like my audience. You guys listen. So I don't want to, be like, oh, what's wrong with Jordan? He's fucked.
That's phase 3 of the YouTube channel is Jordan's medical advice.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No. So yeah, that's that said, we'll see you guys next time.